51%. The Colts are right there with the Jags at 21%. So let's talk about the Colts here for a minute. Second-year quarterback Anthony Richardson only played in 4 games before that season-ending shoulder injury. Whereas Richardson had been a full participant in the offseason program until last week, and then he sat out in the final practice. People got a little worried, but what can you tell us about that decision?
Yeah, the Colts are saying that it really isn't anything to worry about. Yes, he felt a little soreness in the shoulder, as you might expect for someone coming off of an injury like that. But it was the final practice of their offseason. It was shortened to about 40-45 minutes, and they didn't really feel like Anthony Richardson missing it would be that big a deal. They believe he'll be a full participant when they open training camp, that he's checked every box in his rehab so far, and they're excited about his progress in his return from the shoulder injury. And Laura, again, they don't have any more practices till training camp, so we really can't do much but take their word for it. If he shows up in late July and he's not on the practice field, then we'll know something is wrong. But so far, the Colts are saying that it's not.
Yeah, for now, a sigh of relief for Colts fans, and really those of us that just want to see more from Richardson on the field. I'm excited to see field, assuming he's healthy. What are your expectations for him in the fall?
The sky is the limit for this player, Laura.
Agree.
The question is, how quickly can he reach the sky? And for a player that had 13 career college starts, what's the old adage? The only way to get better at playing football is to play football, right? So I do feel like more so than maybe any other young quarterback amongst non-rookies in the NFL, training camp is going to matter to Anthony Richardson this season. He's this big, huge, I should say, ball of clay, right? Last season, he played 12 quarters, though. Now he's dealing with this shoulder injury that, even if it's not a concern right now, is something for us to monitor. The ability to impact the game in multiple ways makes Anthony Richardson potentially the next Josh Allen type player in the NFL. But until he has the chance, just like to create muscle memory as a thrower and being that much more precise, he is going to be not a mystery, but a player that we're going to be wondering how many more levels there are to his game.
And we're excited to see those levels, but it's not just the level on the ground. You talk about reaching the sky and the sky being the limit and reaching your potential. He can do it through the air as well. We get so excited about Anthony Richardson's legs, and rightfully so. You see what he did in college at Florida, even early on in the NFL. He was outstanding with his legs, but I want to focus on his throwing ability as well, right? He targeted Michael Pittman a ton. Michael Pittman was top 5 in receptions last year for a reason. Even though Anthony Richardson didn't play, that piece is back. You have Adonai Mitchell, who you drafted out of Texas in the 2nd round, ran a 4.3 40 as well. He's on that team. And so now all of a sudden, Jim Bob Cooter, who used to coach in Detroit, all of a sudden he gets a chance to have his hands on Anthony Richardson for a full season. I can't wait to see what it does with his arm, not just his athletic ability.
Yeah. So listen, to me, it all comes down more to Shane Steichen than anything, because look what Shane Steichen has been able to do with Jalen Hurts. Look what he did with Gardner Minshew. He almost had that team, the Colts, into the playoffs. So I think Anthony Richardson, as long as he's not a complete disaster and a bust, right? We throw that word around all too often, right? Everyone's a bust, a bust, 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 bust. But as long as he's just considered to be good enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, right? That's all I think he needs to do. And to be very clear, I think he's going to be way better than that, right? I'm just saying this is the bare minimum. With a coach like a Shane Steichen and a good enough roster around you, you're going to be competitive. You're going to be good enough. You're going to be trouble for teams. Now let's obviously elevate that talent and let's make the barrier to entry a lot harder, rather than just being one of 32 quarterbacks and just being a good quarterback. Now that synergy with the Shane Steichen and some weapons, you have the potential to be a great team. And now if you're a great quarterback and you combine that with a Shane Steichen and a good roster, you have the potential to be an elite team. And now if you're an elite quarterback with a Shane Steichen, with a great roster, you have the potential to be an unstoppable team, okay? And we've seen this with lots of coach quarterback roster combinations, right? Whether it be Sean McVay and Stafford, obviously, of course, Andy Reid and Mahomes, whoever the quarterback is for Kyle Shanahan, whether it be Purdy or even Garoppolo, right? Like Garoppolo is proof of that. Like as long as you're a competent quarterback, given a good enough roster with a great coach, and boom, there you are. And that's who Shane Steichen is. You guys know at this point that I'm a massive Shane Steichen fan. And that is the beauty when you have an elite, genius, offensive head coach. That you can have Gardner Minshew and it come down to the final play to make the playoffs. Okay? And I think Gardner Minshew is not a terrible quarterback by no means, but he's not what you think Anthony Richardson's going to be. So I think with AR, like, again, as long as he proves just to be a starting quarterback, the Colts are going to be competitive. If he proves to be a good quarterback, well, then the Colts can really make some noise. And if he can stay healthy and prove to be a legitimately great quarterback, and I think you have to understand that he's practically a rookie at this point still, right? He only played 4 games. So he's going to have that trajectory. He's going to have a game where he balls out, has another game where he looks like, oh, what the heck was that? Like, that's just going to happen. So you have to understand that and accept those growing pains, but also accept that those growing pains are greatly minimized when you have a Shane Steichen, as long as the quarterback is humble and open and takes direction well. And I haven't seen any reason to believe that Anthony Richardson won't be that, especially after coming off an injury. I think it can kind of go one of two ways sometimes when someone comes off an injury, especially this young, because you're antsy to prove yourself. Because, you know, you get to the NFL, you're so excited, and then you get injured, and now, like, you're like not in the NFL anymore. Like, you are, but you're not. Like, it's just a different experience entirely, and you almost feel like you're forgotten. Like, you have attention on you, but the team has moved on from you because they have to. They need to play. They're all rallying behind, you know, whoever the quarterback is. In this case, Gardner Minshew. So, like, that's just the way it works. And now, like, he wants to hit the ground running, right? He wants to get out there and remind everyone, hey, I'm a quarterback. Like, I'm balling. Like, I can play. Like, let's do this. And sometimes you do too much. So, again, I believe, though, Shane Steichen's great coaching will be able to balance that. Will be able to set Richardson up to succeed, right? To be able to use the strengths. And a lot of times when you're a running quarterback, you can use that to your advantage early on in your career, because when some of the things that because a lot of times when you're a young quarterback, you might not see the field as well. You may not make the proper reads. Like, things can kind of just get a little, you don't trust your arm sometimes, right? Sometimes your whole life, you've been able to throw a ball in a certain spot and have it be caught. But now once you hit the NFL, that same throw that you've made 10 million times is now being intercepted, right? Like, now the defense is able to get it, and you're just like, it's jarring. It's what almost every single young quarterback has to learn, to be like, you have to learn, like, what you can and can't do, especially with your arm. But running is running. And if you're fast enough, if you got that speed, if you have the quickness, if you have that ability, that explosive speed, that usually transfers over a lot more smoother, because you either know that you can outrun that guy or you can't. It's very simple. And you know right away too, right? Like, once you enter the league, like, you know what you can and can't get away with. So I think when you have that, and this is kind of what Shane Steichen was also able to do with, like, a Jalen Hurts to a degree, but I think you can have a tremendous amount of success of using that as a safety net. I don't think it's the plan is to make that the primary factor, and that's kind of what Acho was kind of talking about. Like, hey, let's not forget that he has a great arm too, but when you can use it as kind of like a get out of jail free card, your legs, and you develop passing and all those other types of things that you need to develop throughout the career of a young quarterback, that's when you can really hit the ground running just a lot more smoother, and again, minimize a lot of the growing pains that maybe like a more traditional pocket passer, if they even exist anymore these days, has. So I think Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson is really a match made in heaven. I think that I really do believe as well that the sky can be the limit. Whether we're going to say Josh Allen or this or that, who knows? Honestly, I always love when we love to just throw out players like that. And if it is Josh Allen, remember, Josh Allen struggled until he finally got a legitimate OC that helped him. And so again, that is the massive benefit of having a bona fide offensive mind as your head coach, because you always have that. And the Colts should have nothing but immense gratitude for being able to have someone like a Shane Steichen. So I think the Colts can really surprise a lot of people. I think they can absolutely make the playoffs, and I think that there will be trouble for a lot of teams. A lot of teams. You're talking about a great coach and the potential of a great quarterback. And the only reason why I say potential is because I have no idea. I'm not going to come here and say, Anthony Richardson is going to set the league on fire. And then if it happens, I could say, see, I said this months ago. No one knows. I've said this about all these young quarterbacks. You just don't know. I think he'll be great, and I think he went to a great spot, and I think he'll have tremendous success with Shane Steichen. So it's just all exciting times for the Colts. And I think, yeah, I really think that they're going to be competitive, and I really see no true reason why Colts fans should not be incredibly excited for this coming season. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think Anthony Richardson and the Colts can actually win their division and beat out the Texans? Do you think Richardson, the sky's the limit for him and he can be the next Josh Allen or even better than Josh Allen? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.